Hi folks, welcome back for more Let's Play Professor Layton and the Diabolical Box. Well, we have the said Diabolical Box in our possession now, so now we need to go take a trip up to our room to look inside it and see if it kills us. Nothing can go wrong with this plan.
Finally, the Elysian box.
Indeed, Luke.
The box is empty, and we're still alive.
Then it would seem my theory was correct.
What do you mean, Professor?
Strange, isn't it? I thought we just finished Chapter 6. I don't know why it's anything Granny Riddleton's shack there. Well, we must head back into town and do a bit more asking around. I need to confirm my suspicions. So once again, we're going to wander around Full Sense and talk to people. Oh, let's see if you have anything to say about this. Good evening, sirs. Please forgive my outburst earlier. That wasn't very professional of me. Not at all. Your testimony was incredibly helpful. Listening to you talk, I got the impression you are well versed in the Herzen family history. Well, I suppose you could say that. When he was still alive, Duke Herzen often favored our fine hotel with his patronage. I have very warm memories of his kindness towards me, even when I was just a lowly bellhop. Back when the Duke was still with us, the whole of Fulsense buzzed with energy and activity. But once the mining stopped and the Duke passed on, our town turned into quite a gloomy place. After his passing, who stepped in to take his place? Did he have any children? As I recall, Mr. Beluga's brother stepped up to take the Duke's place. That's really all I know about the situation, though I've heard our current Duke is quite young. Add on the vampire rumors, which I'm sure you've heard, and you know everything I do. Oh, not particularly helpful right now, but we do need to go back to our room. Right there. So let's take a look at this picture we've just taken, shall we? Which is technically picture 1, even though it's the 5th one, the hotel room. Well, let's see if we can figure out what's wrong here. Well, obviously the first thing is this lamp.
Let's see if this works. Piece of cake.
That was easy enough. And then, that door handle's on the other side.
This should do the trick. Ha! Wonderful.
And then, yep, there are 2 little, whatever they are here, and there's only 1 down there.
And now to test my theory. A true gentleman leaves no puzzle unsolved.
Easy enough. And now there's a puzzle hidden in here somewhere. Well, oddly enough, it's not exactly wherever we, not exactly on any of the points we just fixed. Instead, the puzzle hidden right up here. Haha, this puzzle tried to hide from me, but I found it. Number 114, fair compensation, worth 40 points. 3 houses face a single common field. And another yawn. Good grief. Excuse me. The heads of these three houses, A, B, and C, decide to work together to seed the field. Unfortunately, C injures himself right before work starts, so A and B do all the work together. To seed the entire field, A works 5 days and B works 4. Feeling guilty, C decides to pay A and B for doing his part of the job. To thank them, C pays them a total of 9 coins, divided up according to how much work each person did. Can you figure out how many coins A and B received? Well, let's see. I mean, you could just say, oh, he works 5 and worked 4, but that wouldn't quite be the case. You know, it just... Ooh. Well, let's see. So you'd think, I mean, they've already gotten... Excuse me, I yawned again. Good grief, what's wrong with me? I'm about to yawn a third time. Here we go! Too much talking today, I guess. I don't know. But anyway... Now, it says they worked 5 days and worked 5 days and 4 days. But what you've got to realize is that doesn't break down into how you should divide out the coins, because they also had to spend quite a bit of time seeding their own fields and all that, not counting what they did for C's. If you look at it that way, then they got paid for their own field already. And each field takes about 3 days to sow, to seed. So, they've already gotten the 9 coins for the first 3 and last 3 days, so now they have those 9 coins divide up with how much work they did for C's part. And based on that, A did 2/3 of the work and B did the last third of the work, so they should divide the coins like that. A should get 6, since he did 2/3 of that work, and B should get 3, since he did 1/3.
This should do the trick. Ha! Wonderful.
Easy enough, huh? That was more work than I thought it'd be. Whew. So we're done in the hotel for the time being, so we can leave. And leave, like I said. And we don't need to talk to you just yet. We will eventually, but not yet. We talk to you because you have a puzzle. Glitz, Glamour, Games. Those are the 3 G's you need to know here in Folsence. I've given you a taste of the glitz and glamour, so how's about giving this game a whirl? Number 103, Disappearing Act 3, worth 40 points. These are getting pretty tough. You can move any ball on the board below as long as it satisfies the following conditions. To move, jump your selected ball over an adjacent space, yada yada yada, you remember from the last time we did this. And obviously we skipped one at some point in time. So let's see. We'll find it, eventually. Because I don't remember doing 2 yet. Let's see here what we need to do. If I'm not mistaken, do this. Then move that back in line. Move that there. And then, we need to move the middle down. Bring that in. Keep everything symmetrical as best we can, anyway. Put that back in the way. Move this up, and now we've got another nice symmetrical thing here. And move that one. Then over here. And then we just do this. And all done.
This should do the trick. A true gentleman leaves no puzzle unsolved.
I don't know if I mentioned it before, but there was like a plastic version of this board game that came out back in the 80s called Haikyuu. I was only about 5 or 6, maybe 7, when I finally saw this, and there was actually a neighbor of ours, a really elderly woman, that had this board. And I used to go over and bother her, so she'd let me play this game all the time. Supposedly she was, supposedly she didn't have a problem with it, but man, I must have annoyed her something awful, huh? I don't even remember her name anymore. It's too bad. She was a nice lady. Huh. I was thinking you'd need at least a few more tries to beat me, but I guess you showed me. And we got a new hamster toy. Again, we don't need it. So now that we've done that, we can walk back up and finally talk to the man whose name we just cleared. Yow! It's my main dudes! You're the only reason I didn't catch that bogus charge. To say thanks, I pulled some strings with the museum curator and got him to open up the place for you. It's not much, but maybe you'll find some righteous info there to help your case. Make sure you check it out. Thanks, Sammy. It got pretty hairy back there for a little bit, didn't it? I still haven't gotten over the discovering that Mr. Beluga is actually part of the Herzen family. Yeah, my uncle never really told me much about it at all. I just know he had some kind of blowout with his dad, the Duke, and decided to leave for good. He did talk a lot about the brother he left behind, though. He has a real soft spot for the guy. But now, it looks like that gnarly vampire's running around the castle. I hate to say it, but I doubt anyone survived that wicked, scary monster moving in. And we got a new diary key. So we're going to meander our way up the, meander our way up to the, museum. But first, diary. All around town, people are falling ill to a disease that has no name. Some of the common folk have been saying that our town has fallen under a curse. As the only son remaining to watch over Folsons, I can't even think of leaving. The thought would be more disturbing were it not for her. As long as she's by my side, I have the strength to stay and protect this town. So that this diary belonged to the brother that Mr. Beluga left behind, huh? Well, let's keep going, shall we? Maybe we'll finally get a handle on what's going on with the town once we get up there. Yeah, let's see. And you go left. And this way. And I believe you have something new for me. Look at you two, running around town like a dog chasing its own tail. Actually, watching you reminded me of a fabulous puzzle I know about dogs. Listen up. Puzzle 109, Walking the Dog, worth 50 points. A girl takes her dog out. At first, she carries her dog for 10 seconds, but then her dad steps out. At this point, the girl sets her dog down and keeps walking. The dog immediately runs over to Dad, and upon reaching him, he turns around and runs back to the girl. The dog keeps doing this until the dad catches up with the girl. The dog runs at 5 feet per second, and the dad walks at 2 feet per second, and the girl walks at 1 foot per second. How far does the dog run by the time the dad catches up to his daughter? Well, first, let's see here. She carried the dog for 10 seconds at 1 foot per second, so she walked 10 feet. The man walked at 2 feet per second, so the man walked for 5 seconds. Let's see, it took 5 seconds, and the dog runs at 5 feet per second. If I'm not making a mistake here. let's see, he runs 5 feet per second, and it took him... And she keeps walking. Okay, yeah, she kept walking. That's... Glad I read that again. She keeps walking. She walks. Well, let's see. Moves once and twice. It took a 5. 5, then 10. Once event is right there. I need the memo. I'm not remembering any of this. Okay, let's see. Starts out with a 10-foot lead. And he covers that in 5 seconds. If I'm not mistaken, yeah. And in that 5 seconds, she now has another 5 to go. So it takes him 2.5 to cover that. And then the 2.5. At 2.5, it takes him 1.25. And then 1.25 point. And then I think, yeah, let's see, where am I at? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 10. It eventually takes him 10 seconds to completely catch up. Once Vince at the 10 seconds, okay, the dog will run for 5 feet per second, so the dog has run for 50 freaking feet.
This should do the trick. Ha! Wonderful.
That's a much easier way to figure it out, doesn't it? That would have been a much easier way to figure that out. Oh well. Ooh, nice work, you two. You guys run around like dogs, but you've got it going on upstairs too, don't you? If you both love running around so much, I won't stop you. Besides, it's fun to watch. And now we get the last ingredient. It actually looks like a seahorse. So, when we come back, we will create all the missing tea blends. And then anyone that needs tea from here on out, we will be able to serve. So until then, take care, folks. See you next time.